The monitor keeps time when my sister says, if she's not responding, just pull the plug. I lie inside a body heavy as cement, a tube in my throat, breath pushed by a machine. I feel sheets, the cold bracelet on my wrist. I cannot move. Ma'am, the nurse says, careful. That decision isn't ours. My sister exhales, a patient martyr. Mom would have wanted it. She told me to be strong. I try to blink, to twitch. Nothing. Panic rises, then condenses into a single command. Stay. The clipboard lands at the foot of my bed. In the plastic sleeve, forms wait beside a red-capped pen. If I keep my eyes on it, I'm still in the world where ink has consequences. We'll review code status, the nurse murmurs. My sister leans close, citrus lotion sweeping over me. It's okay, she whispers. You can let go. The word slam. Let go? I want to claw them back out of her mouth. My mind splits along then and now. Now ICU winter blue. Then, our kitchen in July, sun on linoleum, my sister tilting the cake so the bigger slice slides onto her plate. Be kind, Mom said. She's sensitive. Sensitive, the girl who turned tears into levers. Sensitive, the woman who took the room with the tree tapping hello while I took the boxy one by the bathroom and called it fair. Is there power of attorney? The nurse asks, tone flattening into policy. I have it, my sister answers too fast. Paper rustles. Metal and lemon coat my tongue. She doesn't recognize me, my sister says. She's not there. The machines are doing the living. If machines are living, why does the monitor speed up when she mentions money? Because she does. We can't drag this out, she murmurs. Estate matters don't pause. I remember the will she helped draft, how my name felt lighter afterward. I try again. Toe, fingertip, any loyal fragment. Nothing. The nurse checks my pupils. Light coins sting. She's responding, the nurse says, careful but firm. Bodies twitch, my sister replies and laughs, thin as paper. She wouldn't want this. Wouldn't I want to choose? To say goodbye to the ordinary proofs I exist, the Fern Lena waters, the mug with the hairline crack, the students waiting for replies. A cart rattles outside. Somewhere a pager chirps once, then swallows the sound. Time stretches, then snaps back. I reel in memories, washing dishes while she flirts, hauling boxes while she handles paperwork. My painting on her feed captioned our work. Could we step out? The nurse asks. I need to run a few tests. A small victory blooms. My sister's heels click away, irritated. The nurse bends close. If you can hear me, blink twice. My lids are wet sandbags. I drag them up. 1, a tunnel. 2. Relief softens her face. Good, she whispers. I knew you were in there. The door opens. Perfume arrives before she does. So? My sister chirps. The nurse's tone turns cool. We're not changing code status today. Silence folds itself in half. Fine, my sister says. I'll be back with the attorney, Rage clarifies me. Not hot and sloppy. Clean, bright carving edges. The red pen is a fuse I won't let her light. Dad's voice floats from a gentler year. When you can't run, you plant. He meant tomatoes. I plant a breath I can count. 4 in, 4 held, 4 out. I plant a blink that will become a word. I plant a memory I will harvest later with witnesses. Her sentence, pull the plug, and the way her mouth barely moved. She lingers at the window, smoothing hair that doesn't need smoothing. You always make things harder, she tells the glass. The ventilator answers with a mechanical scoff. If I am hard, it's because she presses. She leaves first. The nurse stays, documenting the red pen behind her ear. Rest, she says. The door sighs shut. The room collapses to essentials. Hum, beep, breath. I trace roads between pinprick stains on the ceiling and claim them as routes back to myself. In the hush, fear lines up and takes attendance. I inventory what's mine. A nurse who noticed me, a body that can serve a blink, a mind that keeps receipts, the bigger slice, the better room, the toast at my graduation that became a tribute to her resilience. I let anger settle low, useful as a hand tool. It won't burn me. It will build. I picture Lena walking in with coffee I can't drink. I picture the attorney meeting that won't go as planned. I picture my signature, thick and certain, on a line my sister meant to sign for me. Down the hall, someone laughs. The window holds a square of sky bruising toward morning. Pain flares at my throat where the tube sits. I make a place for it. Pain means nerves are still taking messages. I count again. 4 beats, 4 more. I imagine each as a nail I'm driving into a bridge I'll cross when my mouth is mine again. If I survive this, when I survive this, I will walk out through a door no one opens for me. I will say her name in rooms where she expects silence and watch it change shape in her mouth. I will ask questions with witnesses present. I will bring paper. I will bring pens with ink that does not smudge. I will make her explain why mercy sounded like convenience and why love had a deadline. The vents sigh. The machines keep vigil. The red pen waits, harmless for now. The forms remain unsigned. The nurse's good word stands guard. And in the truest quiet since she said it, I carve a vow into myself. If I make it out of this bed, I will make her regret every syllable. That promise settles like a stone in a river, shaping the current toward what comes next. The first time my lips moved, no sound followed. The nurse leaned close, urging, "Try again." A rasp scraped out, dry and broken, but mine. I caught the flicker in her eyes, surprise, then relief. My sister wasn't there to see it. If she had been, she would have pasted on one of her angelic smiles, the kind that belonged more to an actress than a sister. Instead, it was the nurse who squeezed my hand and whispered, "You're stronger than they think." Stronger. The word lodged inside me like an anchor, heavy enough to hold me steady. Each breath burned, each muscle stiff with betrayal, but with every day I clawed something back. First the twitch of a finger, then the lift of a wrist. My voice crawled up from a whisper to something that could command a room, if I chose to use it. For now, I didn't, because silence, I learned, is a kind of weapon. My sister started visiting more often once it became clear I wasn't dying on schedule. She came with flowers that clashed with the antiseptic walls, with chocolates she knew I couldn't eat, with stories about how everyone was worried sick. But her eyes gave her away. They darted to the machines, to the nurses, to the clipboard with my name. She'd brush my hair back and coo, "You'll get through this. We'll handle everything. She meant herself. I smiled weakly, played the part of the grateful patient, and stayed quiet. Let her think I was still too fragile to see through her. My silence tempted her to speak freely, and she did. She whispered into her phone while I lay sleeping. She grumbled about bills, about papers she'd filed, about signatures she'd taken care of. Each word was a seed, and I was collecting them. But silence didn't only sharpen my ears, it sharpened my memory. I thought back to my college graduation. I'd been asked to give the student address, a speech I'd spent weeks perfecting. The night before, my sister convinced me that my gown was wrinkled and insisted she'd help. In the morning, I found the hem scorched, a perfect iron-shaped burn. I gave my speech anyway, safety-pinned and humiliated. She stood in the crowd, clapping louder than anyone, smiling like she hadn't orchestrated the scene or the family reunion 5 years later. When she lifted her glass and toasted me, "To my sister who finally found a job she likes." The room erupted in laughter. She knew how badly I wanted respect, how much that role meant to me. But in her mouth, my achievement was small, laughable, temporary, lying in that bed, body failing. I realized something that should have been obvious. She had been chiseling me down my whole life. One smirk, one joke, one stolen spotlight at a time. And now she had nearly finished the job, signing my absence into permanence. When the therapists came, I pushed harder than anyone expected. I let them stretch me, drill me, even when pain felt like fire under my skin. Every inch of progress was fuel. The more I regained, the less power she had. She didn't know it yet, but she was feeding the very strength that would undo her. During one of her visits, she perched by my bed with a stack of envelopes. "So many things to sort out," she sighed. "Bank accounts, Dad's old pension, the trust fund paperwork. She slipped a form halfway out of her purse before shoving it back in. Her smile was quick, brittle. "Don't worry. I've got it handled." The words lit something electric inside me. I replayed them over and over when she left, filing them with the rest of my evidence. A week later, Lena, one of my nurses, lingered after checking my vitals. "Your sister left documents at the desk last night," she murmured. "She signed your name." "I didn't say anything then, but—" She hesitated. "I thought you should know." My pulse quickened, not with fear, but with clarity. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. My sister had moved from humiliation into theft, from petty rivalries into crimes dressed as favors. The rage that followed wasn't wild. It was precise. I pictured my sister rehearsing her innocence in a mirror, preparing her angel act. I imagined her smirk when no one else was watching. And I vowed that when my voice returned, it wouldn't be to beg or to thank. It would be to strike. Recovery blurred into strategy. With every word I relearned, every step I forced, I was building toward a single moment. I kept silent around her, letting her believe she was still the puppeteer, tugging strings on a body she thought would never rise. But inside I was coiling tighter. The moment came on a Tuesday. She breezed into my room in a red coat, phone pressed to her ear. "Yes, the attorney will finalize it Friday," she was saying. "Don't worry, she can't object." Then she looked up and froze. I was sitting upright without assistance. My eyes locked on hers, steady. I waited until she ended her call. Then I parted my lips, my voice still raspy but strong enough. "Don't count on it." Her face drained of color. For the first time in years, I watched her lose control. The mask cracked, the smile faltered. She opened her mouth to speak, then shut it again, trapped between outrage and fear. That moment was worth every hour of pain, every swallow that felt like glass, every humiliation I'd ever endured. From then on, I didn't hide my progress. I let her see me walking the halls, let her hear me speaking with doctors, let her watch as I signed my own consent forms. Each action was a nail sealing her lies shut. She visited less after that, but when she did, her words were cautious, clipped, rehearsed. She no longer owned the stage. By the time I was discharged, I was weaker than I had ever been physically, but stronger than I'd ever been in spirit. I walked out of the hospital with trembling legs, clutching my discharge papers like a shield. And I carried something more powerful than strength, the truth, because now I knew. Knew about the forged signatures, the stolen funds, the manipulation of wills and trusts. Knew that her greed wasn't a suspicion, but a fact. And most of all, knew that silence was no longer my role to play. I stepped into the cool air, sunlight blinding, body fragile but unbroken. Each breath tasted of freedom and fury. Behind me, the hospital shrank into glass and steel. Ahead of me lay the reckoning she never thought I'd live to deliver, and I intended to make her hear every word of it. The living room felt more like a courtroom that day. My father's portrait hung above the mantel, watching as if he were presiding. The table was covered with files, manila envelopes, and a pitcher of water no one touched. My sister sat across from me, arms folded, lips painted into that patient smile she always wore when she believed she had the upper hand. But this time, I wasn't the one shrinking. "I called this meeting," I began, voice steady, "because there are things everyone needs to hear. Things that happened while I was in the hospital." Her eyes flicked to me, then to the stack of papers at my elbow. "Really?" she said, forcing a laugh. "I was there for you every single day. If you're going to accuse me of something, at least make it believable. I didn't rise to the bait. Instead, I opened the first folder. Bank statements. Transfers she had made under my forged signature. I slid the papers across the table. Believable enough for you? Her face tightened, but she leaned back, pretending calm. This is a mistake. Banks mess up all the time. I nodded, then lifted the next envelope. In this? The trust documents. Also signed by me, except I was unconscious. A murmur rippled around the room. My aunt leaned closer to examine the papers, her brows knitting. My brother shook his head slowly. The walls of denial my sister had built started to crack, but still she clung to them. "You don't know what you're talking about," she snapped. "You were barely alive. You don't even remember." That's when I leaned forward, hands clasped, my voice low but unshakable. "Oh, I remember. I remember lying there unable to move, listening to you tell the nurse to pull the plug." The words landed like a hammer. The room froze. Even the clock on the wall seemed to hold its breath. My sister's eyes widened, then narrowed. "You misunderstood." "No," I cut her off, sharper than I'd ever dared before. "I heard you. Clear as day, and I wasn't the only one." I turned to Lena, the nurse who had bravely agreed to join us. She cleared her throat and nodded. "I was there. I heard it too. And I saw her sign your name on documents she had no right to touch." The silence that followed was different now. Heavy, accusatory. All eyes shifted to my sister, who suddenly seemed much smaller in her chair. Her face flushed, her practiced smile faltering into something jagged and desperate. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I was trying to protect us, to make things easier." "Easier for who?" I asked. My voice didn't need to rise. The strength was in its calm. "You weren't protecting me. You were erasing me. You've been erasing me all my life." Her mouth opened and closed, no defense left that didn't sound hollow. My family looked at her differently now, not with the admiration she had stolen for years, but with recognition. Recognition of the truth. I gathered the papers back into the folder, sliding them neatly into my bag. "I don't need your apology," I said, rising to my feet. "I just need you to know I won't be silent anymore. Not for you, not for anyone." For a moment, no one moved. Then my aunt spoke, voice firm. "She's right. Enough is enough." Others nodded. My sister tried to protest, but her words dissolved into the kind of sobs that no longer fooled anyone. I walked out of that house lighter than I'd ever been. The scars on my body still ached, but inside, I carried something stronger than pain. Freedom. I had faced her. I had told the truth, and I had won. As the cool air hit my face, I thought back to that night in the hospital when her words tried to bury me. "Pull the plug!" She thought I was powerless. She thought I was finished. But she was wrong. I may have been lying there in silence that night, but I wasn't powerless. And now, I'll never let anyone decide my fate again. If you've ever felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, you are not alone. Subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. You deserve to feel seen.